thank you everybody for supporting the show, checking out the channel. I just recorded the show with Judge Joe today. Had to boost the audio on it, and that's why it's so late getting it out. Hope you all enjoy it. It's very informative. Thank you again. Peace.
I'm supposed to not get women.
Right. And that's the whole thing. We keep on going back to this point to where the perverts of society seems like they're trying to dictate the norms of the society. In other words, this man is born a man, and now because he feels a certain way, I'm going to have to forget all the norms of society, and call this dude a ma'am. I can't do that, Judge.
Well, look, check this out, too. Back in it's not old as I am, nowhere near, but you don't remember the 60s. See, I graduated from college before the 60s were out. And one of the problems that black folk had that was real bad was self-hate. So we engaged in this campaign of I'm black and I'm proud. The civil rights thing didn't do it, but the militant thing did. Even James Brown co-opted it into I'm black and I'm proud. Okay?
Okay.
And what these strange people don't get, even though they claim to be akin to us in circumstance and method, is that whereas we took steps to stop hating ourselves, embrace what we were, wearing afros, these clowns hate themselves, so instead of embracing what they are, they become Caitlyn Jenner instead of Bruce Jenner. They switch hit so there's something else.
Yes.
And they're so concerned about training because the ultimate goal, if you look at their website, goddammit, nobody wants to go on there and read this shit they say. They tell you what they're doing, and what they're doing is they're supporting trannies first and foremost because trannies get the public acclimated to the idea that what you are is what you want to be, not what you were born to be.
Yeah, well, that doesn't work.
I know it doesn't work. Mother Nature spent 3.8 billion years evolving what does work. So somebody comes along and in 35 to 50 years wants to change the way it works. Mother Nature got a badass answer to that shit. It's called, extinction.
Exactly. And that's where we're headed.
Well, let's put it this way. The human race, I don't think, will go extinct because these people in the Middle East don't buy this shit. The Chinese, they keep saying over here, it's religious intolerance that results in this anti-gay thing. The Chinese are officially atheistic, and it's a felony over there for somebody to do. And they'll put your ass on the wall and shoot you.
They're serious about, I guess, what they call it, the corruption of society.
Yeah, and I've got a goddaughter who is an adopted Russian girl. She's born in Russia. Russia decreed that because of this homosexual thing, they will no longer allow Russian children to be adopted in America. They aren't caught up in it. Now, my son married a Russian. That's not the goddaughter. The Russian is in the U.S. Navy where he met her. He works as a contractor for the Pentagon now. And I talked to her father, and he's a Russian. And he's telling me about the Russian attitude toward this gay shit.
They don't play it.
They don't play. It's just, it's viewed as an unofficial job of a Russian. If you find one, kill him. And nobody, well, if there's a hold up at them, no, comrade,
See, Judge, this is what I'm saying. It's almost like I said on the show, all the chess pieces are being moved into place. You look at the moral degradation of not just the black culture in the United States, but basically across the board with the young folks. You look at how even China is issuing a program to alpha emasculate their men, I read the article like 5 days ago. It basically stated that the Communist Party had concerns about the effeminate nature of the men, and they're making all the boys go to like a Boy Scout style of training, to toughen them up. So, people are like, oh, yeah, while we're over here talking about whatever, these people are preparing for war, psychologically and physically.
Yeah, I'm going to send you a video. The white woman is the narrator, but it's brilliantly done, and this is talking about what they're doing to boys in school and how they're talking about it.
Big time.
And as he says, there are men and women in the world. And you may have, as a woman, a daughter or a son. So not only are your sons liable to be fucked up, your daughters won't be able to find a man.
Right. And that's an issue, Judge. That's a real issue. I have 3 beautiful daughters, and the prospect of them having to go out and deal with some of these jive chomp punks, it's beyond fearful. It's like really a real reality out there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I had a discussion with a woman yesterday who said...
To sex. Sex is not supposed to be just for pleasure. Now, I understand, I get modern times, but it really does have a purpose, and the purpose should be for procreation of the new life. Basically what you're hearing in the background, all that mayhem and all that. That's what it's supposed to be for. And the pleasure is supposed to just be a side effect of doing what was purposeful. It's like we're losing the purpose of why we do things, Judge.
Yeah. Definitely.
So, well, I'm just gonna. Just went over. I didn't mean to to go over. I actually just wanted to ask you that one question about China and Russia.
Well, it leads into stuff because I'm sorry for going further, but it's so tied up with all kinds of stuff.
Yes, it's all interconnected. We're talking about, and I hate to use this analogy, but like a spider web. You're only focusing on the spider, you see, but you don't forget the whole construct around it that allows it to exist, and that's the web.
Yeah.
And
people are all, see, this is a bad thing about what's going on today that is really, really bad. It's everything is supposed to be a 5-second sound bite. Some of this stuff you can't comprehend too well unless you've read several books on it.
Yes.
And everybody wants the sound bite, nobody reads. And particularly it's bad with the boys, which is in that video where they talk about how boys are taught. The boys don't read because they're not properly taught about why or how or what to read,
Right.
So we listen to videos on YouTube, and the video is an hour and a half long, and you could have read all of the salient points in 5 minutes or less. But we don't read, so we have to deal with the spoken word in an obsolete fashion, which is clumsy when it comes to learning stuff. And it also makes you dependent upon your source rather than being able to just go into the bookstore and browse around and in an hour pick 4 or 5 books to cover the topic so you can see what you think is the most logical, rational, and reasonable explanation or statement of whatever you're interested in.
I never really kind of thought about it like that, as far as the written word being kind of faster than, say, the oral, representation of the same thought. Because I guess it kind of went back to what you said at first. If you don't know what to read, you end up reading this mediocre, mind-numbing, really going nowhere works, and there's a lot of books out there like that, and that just kind of puts you off. You know what I mean? I guess maybe going to like church all my life as a kid, always hearing those sermons weekly after weekly. Maybe that developed my audio learning capabilities versus reading or whatever. Obviously I read, but I have to admit though, I do get a lot of my information from audio and visual mediums such as videos or at least an audio book.
Well, read this thing. I just sent you this article. Look at it. Unfortunately, it's YouTube. You can't read it. but it's got charts and stuff in there and diagrams. Read it. She gets into what you're talking about right now.
Awesome. Let me pull it up. On Twitter.
Yeah, forget the Twitter. Just go to the article itself and touch it. If you go to Twitter, it's clumsy. You got to go right back to the one I just sent you. Touch the picture of the article.
Okay. Hold on, I'm not.
Let me see. I'll take a look and see what happened.
I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, it says War on Boys. Just touch that. YouTube. You get it?
No. Let me,
Well, I'll send it to you again. Hold on.
Warren Boy.
She should get it. I just sent it. It's War on Boys.
Let me see. I'll go on my phone messenger and maybe it's there. I believe the Chinese might have hacked my computer as well. It has really been acting extremely weird. Okay, I see it.
It'll take a little while to go through it, but they discuss that. I've said that before. I've been a teacher before, like substitute anyway.
Wow.
Years ago, and what they do right now, see, girls thrive on cooperation, boys thrive on competition.
Yes.
Boys, like they say, will read comic books and technical books, like on technology, engineering, how to put what cars are about, guns are about, ships are about. Girls, they want to deal with stories that are toxic for boys about relationships and shit. Boys don't read that. So the classroom is designed to promote those things girls are interested in. Also, boys will be boys, but for some reason, the sissified society can't get with it. Like, they suspended this child because he took a Pop-Tart and nibbled it into the shape of a gun.
Why don't we just call it what it is? It's a thought crime. Let's just say, even though he made it a gun, it's a thought crime. Just the fact that the boy was thinking about guns, thinking about protecting himself, or maybe shooting a critter or shooting at a target. That's the problem. If we can just get rid of the men, we can end war, Judge. Don't you see the dream?
Well, let me tell you, did I ever talk to you about that? When I was back in college in the 60s, I graduated from UCLA in 1969 as an undergrad, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or I was supposed to, actually 6 months after that, 1970. But they had this thing that war was a man thing, so the way to stop war is to change the way boys were raised to men and raise the boys like girls, because girls are emotive and they let their emotions out instead of building them up, and they don't hold values like duty, honor, country, obligation, and they don't start wars. Girls cry and shout, let it all hang out. Boys are uptight and always trying to be under self-control, and you need to break them of that. And what they wound up doing is setting the stage for all of these little violent punks who don't have any manhood and can't control themselves and go shoot up the hallways. And we got a bunch of them down that shoot up the hood in our communities because they don't have any man in them, because they weren't raised with any father or father figure around. There's always some dysfunctional girl that raised them. So, yeah, I remember when they were preaching that on campus. And, we were saying, fuck you, you're full of shit.
And they're like, no, see, that's what's wrong. See how angry and toxic they are, girls? That is what's killing us. It's literally killing us.
You mentioned it, but you know what else you reminded me of? Why they push shit like that pedophile creature Michelle Jackson, a.k.a. Michael.
Wow.
See, they push that mother. See, I know the story behind that motherfucker. I was at the Watts Festival the year after the riot in '65. And they had a talent contest, and the prize was that the winner was supposed to get a recording contract with Motown. Okay? So years later, I found out that a rumor we had heard in the '60s about some white gangsters putting a pistol to Barry Gordy's head and saying they get 15 off the top. And my neighbor turned out to be the gangster. His name was Norby Walters. I was staying in a condominium out here in West LA when I first started doing the show. And he told me how, and I remember when it happened, there was this sister that kind of reminds you of a much better looking Aretha Franklin that won. The second place was a group that was kind of like the Temptations. And third or fourth place was the Jackson 5. They were just some cute little kids. They couldn't sing because they didn't have voices. And Norby Walters is telling me how his people wanted a boy band, so they went in, put a pistol to Barry's head, and said, you're going to change the announcement. The Jackson 5 is going to be the winner. So that's how they got picked.
So that is the story to the startup of the Jackson 5?
Yep.
So what about the narrative about the abusive Joe Jackson, Mr.
Oh, no, but, that's bullshit. He wasn't abusive. See, where it came from was his mama. That's what the English psychiatrists say. Say, Daddy, Joe Jackson is no more rough than any other man in history to his children. But where they got fucked up was if he punished them by withholding something, the mother gave it to him anyway.
Wow. So she undermined it.
Not understanding the difference between achievement and failure, because they didn't get any more by success than they got if they failed. The mother saw to it. Now, I know a guy that went through law school. He's retired now. And he put himself through law school as a chauffeur. So he was older than your typical law student because he'd done the military thing. And whenever Jackson 5 as a group got to the South, they would fly him to whatever city, Atlanta, Miami, wherever it might be, to drive them. He said, man, he had to have a fiction to keep them from just getting obnoxious about demanding that they pick some little cute 8 or 9 year old boy up standing on the corner. And he told them he couldn't because his insurance wouldn't cover it. He said the Jackson 5 were in the back of the super stretch doing each other, and he'd keep
No way. Paparazzi away.
Said, and they had little Michael sucking everybody's dick.
Oh.
And on the mama thing, he said, Daddy Jackson came down there to say something to them and jumped all over their ass for this sissified shit. He said he's no longer left. Then mama's up there making, it's all right, baby. You do what you want to do. We don't have to be bound by all of these rules.
Wow. So mama was a enabling freak.
Yes, mama is the one. And that dude hated his ass so much. He hated being black. He had all of that surgery to get his melanin cells in his face destroyed by laser.
Well, yeah.
He got so many surgeries on his nose it went necrotic, and they had to amputate it. So if you look at his last few videos on him doing live performances, you can see when he starts sweating, you can see the tape starting to rise up in the line where the person is for his nose. He looked like a goddamn zombie.
Yes.
I'm talking at least 2 people who were security that worked up there at his little Neverland thing temporarily. Said they couldn't take it because that motherfucker was running around with no nose, running around naked with these children.
I remember hearing, I was working as a carpenter, a union carpenter, when that interview came on after I believe that first case. He was sitting there.
Rain. He was out there in the rain in that umbrella, and he was trying to say why nothing's wrong with a man showing love to a kid.
Yeah.
About getting in the bed naked. Too many people have forgotten that shit, or were too young to see it. Oh, they like alone. They couldn't prove it. No, they couldn't prove the case. But the motherfucker was a pedophile.
Yes, he was. Probably a card member of NAMBLA.
I think so too, man. It's all those children. You know, they turned out, interestingly enough, the so-called mothers are not genetically the mothers, and he certainly wasn't a genetic father. They bought those kids somewhere.
So, do you think that, you know, about Jeffrey Epstein and what he was all about, do you think that that network that he was a part of touched the Jacksons? Like, all these people are in this kind of same network?
Well, no, look, I don't think so. We don't always need somebody to show us or direct us. We can do it ourselves. So, you know, thinking that guy had a part to do with it is like, you know, that's like the white folk always used to say they had to be an outside entity because we had peaceful Negroes. You know, they wouldn't do this kind of thing. But no, those motherfuckers have been perverts. Like I'm saying, these were still the Jackson 5 when they were like little 8 or 9-year-old Michael Jackson sucking his brother's dick.
Wow. That's just, that is...
I mean, that's the extent of the perversion, man. I mean, not the extent, but that just shows you the extent or how serious that perversion was. Right.
And we all know, Judge, like whenever you do your first sexual encounter, that's kind of what you're homed into. So if he was doing that as a boy, that's why he's into little boys. Or he's just a freak.
Well, a freak. And see, here's another thing, too. They have these songs called castrati songs. Beethoven, Bob, Mendelssohn, you know, they all wrote these castrati songs. But the interesting thing is, they're in a register that no male can sing unless he's been castrated before puberty. And there was a persistent rumor that this motherfucker castrated himself when he was about 10 years old.
Wow.
Self-hating, because I guess he didn't like having to suck all his brother's dick, so he cut his balls off.
I mean, in all fairness, Jeff.
It backs up. The last person known to be a castrati singer died in 1952. He was some Italian kid that had been castrated by some well-meaning monks since he had such a beautiful voice in the backcountry of Italy.
Wow.
So guess what? Pope or two before the last one, Michael gives a 2-hour-long concert, special private concert for the Pope and the Cardinals at the Vatican, and he sings, all the songs he sings are castrati songs.
What?
Which you can't sing if you catch your balls when you hit puberty.
You see, I'm guarantee you that little boy, that little Italian boy that you was talking about with the priest in the backcountry.
Hold on, let me get this call. Hold on, don't go anywhere.
Okay. Wow, this mind-blowing. Michael Jackson, self-hate, all the debauchery. This stuff, really turns your stomach. And to know that it's not just him, there's others. They're not just black, they're not just white, but they typically seem to be entertainers and high government officials. And I'm sure there's just regular Joes and Smos out there as well. But this is why we have to change the way we look at things. This is why we have to change our perspectives, and we have to change what we put on a higher level. If you guys think for 1 second that these topics that we talk about on the show cannot affect you and your family, then you're seriously mistaken. Everything from government misappropriating funds to corruption to moral and social degradation, people idolizing gangs and people idolizing freaks and promiscuity. All these things have a cumulative effect. And the sum of this effect will directly impact your life. All I'm trying to get you to do is think for yourself. Look at what we're up against in its totality. Look at what we're up against and see what can you do to basically turn things back right. Are you ready to go night-night? Come on, let's go night-night. I'm going to turn on Bob for you. How about that? Sit here. I'm going to turn on Bobby. Hold on, guys. I'll be right there.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, I'm here. I just had to get
Yeah,
my
man, it's my
quick.
girl, lady friend, and she's writing a book, and I've been editing. It's a great goddamn book, and if I was a professor, I'd make my students read if they wanted to understand the hood, outside of the hood, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But, you know, she fusses a lot, then winds up accepting the changes I suggest eventually after she's done fussed about them.
You know, speaking of the entertainment scene, your buddy Wesley Snipes, does he have any plans to do anything?
They've been blackballing.
Just like they did you?
Yeah, and just like they've done Isaiah Washington, just like they are starting to do with, what's the comedian?
Chris Rock. Not Chris Rock, but...
Not Chris Rock. He's got 2 shows on now.
Not Jamie Foxx.
No, he did. I can remember his partner, Cedric the Entertainer. We're talking.
Oh my God! I see his face. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, tall brother.
He wrote a couple of tweets or something back in the day about homosexuals.
No, that's not what they're getting him for. What they're getting everybody for is not even being anti-homosexual. It's just that you're getting too powerful, so they cut you off at the knees because A, the industry is run by Jewish interests, and B, most of those Jewish interests and most everybody else, 9 out of 10, they're gay.
Wow. Wow.
So, you know, it's what it is.
But I thought the gays were supposed to be our allies, Judge. I thought the gays were right there with Martin Luther King, and they were shish-shashing, marching across the bridge right along with us.
Well, we had on an interesting guest that ambushed us, but he didn't realize I was still on. This was yesterday, day before yesterday. And his name is Big Meech, yesterday. Big Meech or Big Meat or something. He's 6'4", 300 pounds, and he's a trans.
A copy chicken beat you up.
Like Aretha Franklin.
Oh my God.
But anyway, he's talking about people don't understand the problems that black homosexuals have because LGBT is so racist. So we have to fight straight and racist LGBT types. And yes, he admits there is an agenda. He didn't think so at first, but now he knows there is. We're crock shit. It was very interesting listening. I didn't comment. I just let him talk. Think I wasn't on because he came in real late because somebody we knew called up. And we noticed he's a preacher. And when he called up, that's what his number showed was him. It was this dude on the line.
So the preacher man used his phone number to get on the show, and he puts on this like Alice the Goon type tranny?
Yeah.
Holy shit. What type of preacher is he?
The preacher's always hustling.
Oh, okay. That's what type of preacher he is.
So I guess he's trying to push this guy. So the guy didn't know I was on. Yeah, I can't stand that Joe Brown. I got choice words for him. So you know what I did? Producer, director of this show, I said, invite his ass on my show for Friday. I want his ass. I'm going to let this motherfucker talk because actually I was spellbound listening to him. I said, God damn, I could not find a better way of saying what's wrong than listening to this motherfucker trying to claim that's right. He was going, yes, and we need sex education in the schools to favor the gays. I mean, a young prospective gay doesn't even know what hole to put it in.
Wow, that's this retarded. I'm sorry for you.
Oh, man, the students, man. They would swear I was lying if I claimed it. Saying it, and I don't have to claim it.
Wow. Well, that's what a lot of racist organizations do to us. They'll find some brother out there, give him a suit, give him a tie, give him a piece of paper. If he can't read it, they'll just tell him what to say, and he'll say it.
Oh, well, speaking of funny shit, have you seen the stuff going around about Al Sharpton having a chicken dinner in a fast food place with one of the the gay white presidential candidates?
No, that just sounds...
I had to tweet. I'll tell you what I tweeted. The motherfucker is asking Al Sharpton, can you eat chicken with your hands? And Sharpton comes back, it's acceptable. So I've tweeted, I said, with the public face of fried chicken is a white boy colonel. Why the hell is this fool asking a black preacher, parenthesis, question mark, how to eat fried chicken? What that damn dumb? And he wants to be POTUS?
I'm sorry, man. Why is it every political cycle we always got to bring out the brother in the chicken or the brother in the watermelon, the brother in the trough? It's like, how come we can't evolve past this mental point?
Well, wait a minute. If we get further on Al Sharpton, this motherfucker made a series of interviews where he talked, a couple of years ago, where he talked about his weakness for fried chicken.
Oh, no.
So somebody said, why is he coming in doing? I said, well, the brother, I said, the Reverend has said he's got a weakness for fried chicken, and you know what the cliche is about chicken eating preachers.
You know it. That old greasy hustler me up in that house. That was a good chicken dinner.
You got started, don't you?
How?
James Brown was a pedophile.
The late James Brown? Oh, wow. Are there any entertainers that aren't?
14, 15 years old.
Wow.
Al Sharpton. He used to wear Sharpton's booty hole out on a regular basis.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, Al Sharpton got introduced to the public when Don Cornelius was begging James Brown to come on Soul Train. And he did on agreement he would showcase Al. Hold on, let me get this call. Hold on.
All right. That is so crazy about Al Sharpton, because you see some older pictures of Al Sharpton. He does have that little cronk hair, long hair, kind of like girly kind of hair. Wow. I mean, I heard about him being a snitch for the FBI, but never knew that he was swinging the bat both ways. I mean, I don't know if there's rules in certain denominations, but I thought once you took it up the backside, you really can't be a preacher, or that might not be the most appropriate position, excuse the pun, for one to be in. Now, Now, I wish that people would maybe, forgive him for his sins or whatever, but as far as a spiritual leader, I don't know if he qualifies. I mean, if you go to his church, you might want to think about that.
Lady friend again. Act like they're urgent. You got to pay attention to them.
Oh, yes. I was just everybody.
Hold on, her again.
I was so appreciative that the judge, this is what it's about. I try to bring you guys the newest content, the best content, natural, organic. In fact, let's listen to this video here.
Hard to manage. Sound like any boy you know? But increasingly, our schools have little patience for what only a couple of decades ago would have been described as boyishness. As psychologist Michael Thompson has aptly observed, girls' behavior is the gold standard in schools. Boys are treated like defective girls. Now, as a result, these defective girls are not faring well academically. Compared with girls, boys earn lower grades, they win fewer honors, they're far less likely to go to college. Boys are languishing academically while girls are prospering. In an ever more knowledge-based economy, this is not a recipe for a successful society. We need to start thinking about how we can make our grade school classrooms more boy-friendly. Well, here are 4 reforms that would make a very good start. 1. Turn boys into readers. In all age groups, across all ethnic lines, boys score lower than girls on national reading tests. Good reading skills, need I say, are critical to academic and workplace success. A major study in the UK discovered, not surprisingly, that girls prefer fiction, magazines, and poetry, while boys prefer comics and nonfiction. Boys whose eyes glaze over if forced to read Little House on the Prairie may be riveted by the Guinness Book of Records. Cool. Boys will read if given materials that interest them. If you're looking for suggestions for books that have proved irresistible to boys, go to guysread.com. 2. Inspire the male imagination. Celebrated writing instructor Ralph Fletcher contends that too many teachers take what is called the confessional poet as the classroom ideal. Personal narratives full of emotions and self-disclosure. These are stories girls commonly write, and these are prized, whereas action stories describing, say, a skateboard competition or a monster devouring a city, these are not. I recently read about a 3rd grader in Southern California named Justin who loved science fiction, pirates, and battles. Well, an alarmed teacher summoned his parents to school to discuss the picture the 8-year-old had drawn of a sword fight, which included several decapitated heads. The teacher expressed grave concern about Justin's values. The boy's father was astonished, not by his son's drawing, which to him was typical boy stuff, but by the teacher's overwrought and female-centered reaction. If boys are constantly subject to disapproval for their interests and enthusiasms, they're likely to become disengaged and lag
I was just sharing that video.
Sorry for the delay. She's talking about giving up some nookies. So I'm an old man. I got a limited time to enjoy a nookie. When you get 70-something, it's still working. God damn it,
Make up for that lost time. The thing about it, I was just listening to the lady on that video she sent me, and she was saying, across all ethnic groups. And I thought it only pertained to black boys. But we actually read lower than girls, or I guess we're interested in different things.
But wait, let me give you a statistic. The Defense Department is still upset about it. For the first 10 years of this century, all ethnic groups combined, not just us, only 28% of each year's high school graduates are male.
Where's everybody going? I mean,
they're fucked up. Wait a minute. You want to get into that?
Yeah.
Only 44% of the national workforce is male, and that's all ethnicities combined. For undergrads in college, only 32% of the undergrads in America are male. graduate students, only 36% of the grad students in America are male. That's what she's not saying, but that's what's implied, and that's what's the problem. The Defense Department said we can make you physically strong, but we can't make you mentally tough. You have to come in here like that.
Yes.
Because there's no fathers around, it's not happening.
Right.
And see, you need fathers for girls too, because they have to get that component, that yin-yang thing. And see, it's one thing if a woman has got divorced or widowed or something like that, or the guy's away, because you used to have the whole damn village, town, or city, and the voice of the village, which would be the movies and then television that were pushing the masculine things so the boys knew what to do. But now everything's trying to badmouth that, so there's no daddy around. The girls don't have daddy around, and they don't get the idea, because if they love daddy, they get along fine with men.
Right. But when they don't love daddy, then they have daddy issues, and she's a total crazy chick to deal with.
Yeah, and it's not just they don't love daddy. They're taught to dislike the concept of daddies. And that comes at them on television. That comes at them on the movies. That comes at them in school. That comes at them from what they run into with the social setting.
And all this goes back, I hate to be like this, I'm not a bigot, but to the homosexual agenda. If we
Well,
get...
yeah, but you see, let me give you a word of, don't take this the wrong way. What's wrong is the way you're thinking about it. See, you're adopting the position that the homos give out that we are homophobic.
Right.
They are not homophobic. They are heterophobic.
Yes.
You see, being a man is but a man is a dangerous thing. It's the apex predator on the planet Earth. It is dangerous to fuck with a man because it's not really about physical stature, because some of the bravest soldiers the American Army, the German Army, and everybody else had has been little guys who weren't physically imposing specimens. They just had the heart.
Wow.
Being a man is a dangerous fucking thing. So those who feel intimidated about men or by men because they don't have the heart if they got a dick, or they wish they had a dick and don't appreciate the concept of men being socialized and acculturated to protect them, then they want to destroy manhood as a threat to them. They don't realize that the steps they try to take are steps that men enable them to have.
Right. The freedom that you're enjoying is because people fight and die to secure the perimeter.
Well, yeah, and it's I did a paper 50 years ago on this for a class. Today's woman gets into feminism and female liberation because she lives in a safety bubble, and she is like that Russian Lenin was talking about, wherein Russia could not be a free democratic society until there were few Russians with a living memory of their enslavement under the Tsar. Well, that feminism and female liberation and empowerment shit can't occur until there are no significant numbers of women with a living memory of why men held the position in society that they did. So the 1960s, when all of those old great-grandmothers and grandmothers were dying off, saw men protect the homestead out on the frontier.
And they were replaced by women that didn't know no better and getting in...
And in England and Europe, this is in the late 60s, they came of age after all of that shit was going on in World War I and World War II, and they didn't see it.
Yeah, we don't want a world war. A lot of people are you know, it almost seems like, Judge, they're just this longing for the time that society collapses, the economic system falls apart.
Yeah.
But we don't want that.
A little bit deeper than that. I've talked to some European women. They're old now, but when they were younger, are dead now. When they were younger, if they lived in the wrong areas, they knew what men were about, because they needed men to protect them from what other men could be about.
Wow.
When the Germans came marching through to go invade Russia, they got raped left and right. When the Russians came back the other way to invade Germany, they got raped left and right. They had no men to protect them. And there was nothing the fuck they could do about it. If a Russian from Mongolia with his slant-eyed ass wanted to take the pussy and didn't know what an indoor toilet was and stank like hell because he was taking baths, he had the pussy. If it was the other way 2 years earlier, the goddamn goose-stepping motherfucker that was off in the Mein Kampf, if he wanted the pussy, he took the pussy.
Oh, wow. Wow, that was a hell of an image there, Judge. I mean, most people...
And then, I tell you what, a friend of mine had still has a beautiful woman who's a housekeeper for him. He's got a condo that he bought through her name and has a contract with her in Prague, Czech Republic. She's beautiful. I thought he was bullshitting when he told me this, but I met her, and she brought in 2 friends, and they had their books. You know what the books are?
What?
We'd like to get with you if you're a single man. We don't care who you are, depending on what you're about. But if you don't like us, we have a book with our girlfriends in them. And when you look at the books, they're loosely notebooks. And guess what they have in there? They have a face shot, a bio, swimsuit shot, a naked shot, pussy shot, everything. So you can see what you're getting. The woman lists her sexual preferences in English, Czech, German, French, and Russian.
Wow.
And I said, what the fuck is this? So she spoke good English. I said, well, you know, we got this from our mothers and grandmothers, and when they were girls or young girls and the war was going on or winding down, it seemed, they didn't own their pussies. Their pussies belonged to somebody else. So we ain't squeamish about who gets the pussy. If you know, I want to be with you, fine. You don't want to be with me, maybe you'll be with a girlfriend that I got.
Wow.
And that helps her out. If somebody doesn't want to be with her, and she checks me out, and she looks at me. And I said, well, you took all the naked pictures. She said, we ain't got no problem with being naked. We got our clothes snatched off and need sunlight so we can function. We don't have all that vitamin D shit to take. So we get naked. So, you know what we were? We were standing out in front of my office on Sunset Boulevard. So this chick took her top off and said, see, I don't have a problem.
Wow. On Sunset Boulevard.
What about your 3 girlfriends? We don't have a problem. It's peeled on down.
What?
And I was facetious. I said, what about the ass in? So another one pulled her pants down and the other one flipped her dress up. But the next one flipped her dress up too and pulled her panties off. You want to see here?
Talk about cultural divide.
Yeah.
But see, I dig what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Once the reality of war hits a person, they're forever changed. And their people after them are forever changed. Because Grandma knew what time it was. Like you said, when old boy comes through that front door, she already knew what time it was. It wasn't time to...
And we discussed this attitude change. I said, well, you know, that didn't happen to me. My mother escaped it, but my grandmother, before she died, used to talk about how often she got raped. So she knew the value of men because she knew, A, how bad men could treat her, and B, how she needed men to protect her because there was nothing the women could do. And I said, well, that seems like that gives you a very bad impression of men. He said, well, it did. He said, but you know, they got an old saying in Eastern Europe. I said, what's that? If you beat the devil, don't feel too bad, because if the devil exists, so does God. So if you meet an evil man, that means there's a good man that might protect you. So
the yin and the yang.
This is interesting. She said, unlike over here, we still haven't forgotten. So it's in everybody's interest, male or female, to produce good men. So we try to make good men. So if we don't need the protection immediately, they can protect somebody else if somebody else ever needs it. And from that, I got the idea that men are like lifeboats. You know, they kind of hang around on the ocean liner or the cruise ship.
Yeah.
And they just kind of get in the way until you got a Titanic situation, and then you need to fuck out those damn lights.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's when we're needed. And we are forgetting that as men. We're thinking, no, we're just part of the crowd there, Judge. You know, I don't have no role to play in all this, bro. I'm just part of the crowd. No, you're not.
Yeah, and it's the other thing, too. Somebody was downing somebody on Twitter about him having a video posted of him doing some good work with a katana sword, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Hell, this shit, I said. So I said something like, well, you know, men evolve with weaponry, and part of a character building experience for men is becoming proficient in a given weapon type, which along with the physical capacity goes along with the mental attitude and perspective on the proper use of it.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
It's not better for a boy to take martial arts because physical skill comes along with some mental development, some character development. So men evolve. I mean, if you take all of human prehistory and history, it's only been a recent thing where a man wasn't continuously in possession of a weapon.
Right.
Because you had lions, tigers, grizzly bears, wolves, hyenas, cougars, panthers, leopards, jaguars, you know, all sorts of dangerous things, and they had long canines. We don't have canines. We have weapons that we invent.
Yes.
So you don't go say, excuse me, you're coming in, let's run you through the calcium detector. Whoops, you need to remove your teeth. So the tiger's got to sit there, and everybody that's a tiger has had to replace real teeth with false teeth so they can pull them out of their mouth and check them at the door when they go in someplace. It doesn't work like that.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't. And don't forget about their claws. Everything about
them. We got to declaw the motherfuckers too. Hey, man, hold on. Talk about what? The claws. Man, wait a minute. Yeah, we got to do the claws, man. You know, like going through. You get ready to get on this cougar plane, man, or this panther plane, man. You know, you can't. You got to ditch the claws, man. You know.
FAA regulations. You got to stay here at the gate, sir. You know, is the TSA, and this is totally off topic, Judge, but is the TSA a constitutional organization? Don't they kind of violate your Fourth Amendment?
They are a police organization. Here's where it comes in. There is a national interest in guarding the safety of passengers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
When these airplanes take off, very seldom do they just fly inside of one state. So when they cross state lines, that becomes a federal matter. So anything that enters into, quote, interstate commerce, unquote, the feds can control.
Right.
So they control that for alleged purposes of safety. Now, I noticed this. In the 60s, they had an airline called PSA, and PSA now doesn't have its names on airplanes, but as a company, they operate regional jets for various things like Delta and American Airlines, all right?
Right.
Well, when you walked into LA Airport, you could catch every half hour for $16.50 an airplane that would fly to Reno, PSA, one that would fly to Vegas, one that would fly to Sacramento, one that would fly to San Jose, one that would fly to San Diego, one that would fly to San Francisco, one that would fly to Oakland, all right? And it was $16.50 every half hour until midnight. If you wanted a round-trip ticket instead of $33, it was $32 even. There was no metal detector.
Really?
You walked up to the gate, bought your ticket at the gate just outside the jetway, or you could buy them early if you wanted to. I tell you, nobody hijacked anything. Now, it's an interesting story. I had a friend who was a professor at Cal State University in Los Angeles. And he had a side business besides being a professor. So I I run into him by accident at the airport and say, hey, man, Rob, what's happening? Where you going? Vegas, man. Me too. I'm going up there. I got a homeboy that's in that hair production. You know, so we're going up there and hang out and go run these hoes, man. He said, yeah, okay. All these babes, whatever we were calling them then. So we go on and we get partway there. We're almost at the airplane, and then he gets this thing, Dr. So-and-so, please report to the TSA ticket counter in the concourse. And they had a big ticket counter at the front where they are now, one in the middle of the concourse and one at the gate, right? Each gate had where you could buy a ticket right at the gate. So we go to the other one. We're already inside the airport. The concourse is still there. And it is down that long corridor, if you've ever been to LA International, after you get through security. So I was looking at this babe in a see-through top with some shorts on with her butt cheeks hanging out. This was the 60s, sexual revolution. So I looked at her, and then out of the corner of my eye, I thought I saw him snatched over the PSA ticket counter. What the fuck? And I looked over, and two guys came up, white boys in suits. One grabbed me by each arm, said, Joe Brown, you coming with us too. We get in the back room. This guy says, we to the professor, we know why you're going. You keep your black ass the hell out of Vegas for the next 5 weeks. We know you're interested in our witness. You keep your ass out of there and not show up or we'll kill you.
Whoa.
And by the way, if you want to make a claim about search and seizure, go right ahead, but I really suggest you forget what's in your briefcase. It didn't happen.
Whoa.
And the guy said, what the fuck are you talking about, briefcase? He said, well, you know, you think it's locked. We got a universal key. He opened it up. You know what's in there?
What?
A stolen U.S. Army M3A1 45 caliber machine gun, commonly known as a grease gun, in 5 loaded 30-round magazines.
Whoa.
He just walked on in there. He wasn't going to hijack a plane. He was going to Vegas to pull off a hit on somebody. He was a brother, but the mob hired him because, you know, people don't associate if you're an Italian gangster with somebody black getting ready to do your ass in.
Wow.
So, and they said, we know you're going up there for the hair commercial, for the hair production. Your friend up there, you just need to call him, tell him you can't make it. You got some homework to do. The same thing might happen to you if you get up there. I said, well, fuck, I guess I ain't going to Vegas.
You know it.
He bought the tickets, but homeboy had a submachine gun, you know, with 150 rounds of ammo on board.
Holy shit. No chick.
Now, that's the type of security they did not used to have, you know. But nobody was hijacking goddamn airplanes. You see, then it became a political thing, and you got that dude that hijacked those planes and jumped out.
Oh,
less money.
Jerry Cooper, or something Cooper.
Yeah. But goddamn, man, you know, it was a different day. See, that's why I tell all these folk who have never been through it, you know, this ain't about guns. This ain't about lack of regulation. This is about character. You just
Yes.
look at these boys and you're fucking them up the way they're raised. They get told, do what the fuck you want to do, not what you ought to do, so they have no guiding principles to their character.
Correct. But this is because I think, like he was talking about with the counterculture revolution that was happening in America as far as sexuality and the norms in general. I think we're seeing the residue of that still with us, meaning the extreme feminists, the extreme homosexuals, or the the new heterophobes out there in the world.
Let me tell you something else too. There is rampant homosexuality in our community, but not from the source you think. I'm not talking about the obviously gay black boy. All right.
Mm-hmm.
All of these motherfuckers that have done time, according to the Center for Disease Control, and I know of fine-ass sister with big, firm tits, nice ass, who used to be a bodybuilder, got great pussy. This is a long-term friend of mine. She's a director with the Center for Disease Control down in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
I met her when she came here for a special assignment years ago. She tells me that if a motherfucker has been locked up for a year and a month, 13 months, there is a 92% probability that the motherfucker has had multiple voluntary or involuntary homosexual contacts.
Wow.
Okay? And she said when these motherfuckers get out of the joint, they don't give it up. So you got all of these gangsters talking about, yeah, man, what you been doing, man? Oh, man, it's time, man. Motherfucker, man, I wound up serving 18 months, man. That means the probability this motherfucker been fucked in his ass. You know, this style sag and bag. I saw that first time on the yard at the main penitentiary in Nashville, 1980. And it was 100-some degrees, so I'm talking to this fiend down on the yard with my yellow pad, and I look, what the fuck is this? Oh, man, all the ground, man, you been doing with his pants hung down off his ass, man. Yeah. Everybody else is up here got tailored jeans. Yeah, man, but see, most of us up in here, man, this the main pen, man, behind this motherfucking wall, man, like we doing mostly long time or life. So everything up in here, like everything, man, except we ain't got no soft booties, man, so we gotta make some. So-called fake bitches over there with the long hair and the little short mini dresses flipping their bare ass out, you know. See, we gotta make some of them. So dude over there, you know, like, we turning him out, man. He's short time. So, like, when he dressed like that, that's so, like, see them trees over there when the guards ain't around, we bend him down, pull him down, and get down. This motherfucker try to run, man. His pants fall down by his ankles, man. Flat on his face, booty up in the air. Baggy shirt, man. That's his dress, man. We put him on the block, man. Still body. We don't let him wear no drawers and have to take them pants off, man. We fuck him when we can. That's a signal that make that booty nice and good so you can get your dick in it, man. We already made that motherfucker some jewelry, man, down at metal shop. Small man got his baby sister in the care package with some rouge, mascara, eyeshadow, lipstick, and some plastic nails. We gonna girl this motherfucker out.
And this dude's talking like he's talking about the greatest party in the world. We're gonna set it off, Judge.
Yeah. And see, you know what's wrong with most of those people in the penitentiary? It's not punishment for them because it's not the conditions of the confinement. The worst jail in England you can be in is the Tower of London, and it's the fucking palace. It's the punishment is taking a free man and restraining him of his liberty.
Right.
But see, if you don't appreciate liberty because you got the mind of a slave, they have punished you.
Wow.
So these people ain't got no job. They depending upon stand-in mamas, fool bitches that'll adopt them, take them home and commit incest and fuck them, and support them, and neglect their kids because the child support check they get from the government or the Section 8 benefits, they spend it on this motherfucker. So he's perpetually a child.
Right.
And these bitches, they don't want a real man. They never met one. The mamas haven't met one. The grandmamas haven't met one. The great-grandmamas ain't met one.
There ain't one coming.
And if the great-great motherfucker is still alive, that bitch, she ain't met one either. So you got 4 or 5 generations of a family still alive and nobody's ever finished school or had a job. See, you know what mindset they have?
What?
I've seen it. It just shocked me when I realized where I'd seen it. If you go into a herd of cattle or horses, they've got the mentality of breeding cows or mares. They're animals. Cattle slavery is French for cattle. And I remember when I worked for this think tank in D.C. and went back and forth between there and Chicago in 72, they kept referring to slaves as livestock.
Wow.
A mile away, there was a William Lynch. And you know what his secret was? It wasn't divide and conquer. What I read in his pamphlets was the secret is to treat the Negro like he was a horse. But this is the interesting thing. And see, sisters have some atonement they have to do for what he said said the secret is to consider the Negro to be a horse. He said you may be able to domesticate a second status stallion or a young one in a herd of wild horses, but you cannot domesticate the herd stallion, chief stallion in a herd. You can breed him, but you can't use him. You can't domesticate him. He said, but no matter what the female status in a herd of horses is, you can domesticate her. And the secret is that the female horse will domesticate her foals for you.
Yes.
And now you have 14 horses on a ranch, and hell, man, that's true. Now, he said what you must do is have the female slave use what she's about to ensure that she has grandchildren. And because of this, she will enslave her offspring for you.
Wow.
So he said it's easy enough to use my techniques. It's easy enough to impose them on the slaves. Your overseer can do it. Your wife can do it. Even your children can do it. And here's what he said that was interesting. If you use these techniques, rest assured that the slaves will enslave themselves for the next 400 years.
He's right about that.
You know where I saw that? The pamphlet was dated 1708.
Wow.
It was microfilm copy of it in the Library of Congress. It was dated 1708. William Lynch was a plantation owner and slave breeder in Bermuda, and he traveled through Jamaica, the Bahamas, and southern U.S. to sell tips on how to raise slaves for fun and profit. Kind of like, what's his name, the dog whisperer does.
Oh, Caesar. Caesar,
Caesar, yeah.
Yeah, Caesar.
He writes all of these books on how to train dogs, and basically the technique for training dogs and horses and ex-African Negroes was the same.
Wow. You know, Judge, as when you were sat on the bench, and you think of all, this in your mind, of course, all the criminal cases pertaining to murder, did it really look like black folks were disproportionately killing ourselves out of self-hate?
Yeah, we did. Very disproportionately. See, usually when a white boy killed somebody, it was either out of anger, revenge, or there was a monetary purpose for it. In other words, they are real gangsters, and this is a turf war in the sense that they were feudal lords. They even use those kind of terms like the Godfather, Don, capos, meaning captains, lieutenants, and soldiers, and you don't mess around with civilians. And what the mafia sets up is the equivalent of a feudal society.
Wow.
All right? The protection racket is the same thing. The serfs and the peasants, they worked on the property, and they had to give a percentage of their crops to the landlord to keep the landlord able to prevent some rapacious neighbor baron from coming in and slaughtering them and taking the crops. So they gave him half to stay alive so they could carve off the other half.
Yes, it's called tribute. They gave him tribute.
Yeah, but you see, one thing the mafia does is they protect their community, so their people, the ordinary people, protect them because, say somebody's having a problem getting his insurance covered, they make sure the guy gets the insurance covered. They make sure none of the girls get raped, none of the old ladies get robbed and jacked up. Domestic violence is kept at
behind closed doors.
You don't sell dope in the Italian communities. They got a place in Brooklyn called Bamonte's. It's been open 120-some damn years. The mafia runs it. They used to use parts of it as a set for The Sopranos, but little old ladies park their, BMWs or their
Cadillacs,
Rolls Royces, and don't even roll the windows up, and they get out, and it's in a seedy warehouse district, and they walk to the door in full name fur cloaks and real bling, and nobody touches because the mob like, hey, we don't allow no criminality where we
know they take family serious.
Yeah, and then over in the corner, I was there one time. They had 2 NYPD captains, police captains in uniform, 2 or 3 lieutenants, and a bunch of sergeants sitting at a big set of tables they put together with all kinds of empty and full pitchers of beer, getting drunk on the house, and they didn't have to drive home because the gangsters were, so they wouldn't get busted for DUI.
Wow.
They're getting acquainted. They got black folk in there wearing the Knights of Columbus pin, you know, and
What's the night? Oh, you mean the Catholic organization?
yeah, but see, that was just the cover. If you got on a Knight of Columbus pin, they gave me one a couple of times, you know, when I walked off in there. Like, he's our friend.
Oh, gotcha. I got you.
Don't fuck with him. I mean, I brought some Hollywood types up in there, and the conversation talking about manhood was going on this way at the table behind it. Hey, Louis, what you think of this situation? What's that boy's name? Fuck it, I don't give a shit. You know the one cut that man's face up like that? Yeah, boss, it was an awful thing. What the hell is all this violence and criminality? We can't have this such excessiveness. You cut that man's face up for such small little transgression. Boss, they say it was sharp instrument of razor. You know, there won't be no permanent disfigurement. You mean like he gonna get some cash lines? Well, yeah, but still, put it down, Carl. You know, we can't have this kind of shit. We gotta go talk to these dudes. Somebody explain things. No. You know, and these white boys with me from the studio, they go, oh my God, are they real? Yeah, man. What you think basing these movies on? I think this looks familiar. They use it as a set for The Sopranos.
No. You know the Italian mob.
Wait. Right there, this big motherfucker, 6'4", he's in his 70s with a 3-time broken nose. Well, Judge, it's yesterday you say that. You see that last episode with Sopranos when the waiter at my table, they had him sit up there at my table. And then whacked him. They gave me a chill. That was so real, you know?
They whacked him.
These white boys pissed on their ass. I know they did.
You know, I was just about to say that you're talking about the Italian mob, but what about the Jewish, the Cosa Nostra, the Jewish mafia?
Well, you know, Meyer Lansky was a Jewish mobster, and he did the finances for Lucky Luciano.
Whoa.
And Al Capone was groomed by a Jewish mobster in Chicago.
I did not know that.
See, that shit that Israel does with the Mossad, where you think that came from?
I thought it came from the SS Waffen.
No, see, the same motherfuckers did with those Italian gangsters that wound up hooking up with the Italians. I mean, the Jewish gangsters that hooked up with the Italians. Them motherfuckers.
Those. So, and we're talking about like what, the 1920s or so?
Yeah, 19-teens.
Oh.
100 years ago. See, here, you have to understand something about Jews. They're atheist Jews, they're agnostic Jews, they're Jews who have the culture because that's their background, but they're not practicing or they're atheistic and they don't believe.
Right.
They got a culture. So, see, it ranges from Jewish religious fanatics to people who say, I'm Jew, but I don't go for that shit. Like, I'm black, but I don't eat my meat well done like you expect. You know, I can do something other than eat goddamn fried chicken.
I hear you. Brother Al just popped up in my head.
Would you like your steak well done or extremely well? If you do it that way, I'm going to be pissed off. I want it rare, though my health says I should eat it medium rare. How about that?
You better not eat it at the Taj Mahal.
I want to taste the goddamn cow. I want to kill that motherfucker and feel this juice slide down my cheek. I fantasize about sinking my fangs in his ass. And choking the shit out that motherfucker. You know, as I take his life and munch down and get that rich blood coming from the jugular or from the carotid artery. Yeah, I want it bleed. Shit. I'm trying to make sure that every now and then I insert my ass at the top of the food chain.
There you go. Well, but the reason why a lot of melanated black folks, whatever you want to call it, likes our food. It goes back to the old days when we used to have to get the spoiled meat, and you had better cook it all the way through,
Better cook it, yeah.
or else you get sick.
Don't you want no chitlins, man?
No, God.
No. I've never tasted. Man, you need to eat you some chitlins, man, for tradition. I said, look, motherfucker, I don't eat any goddamn slave food. You eat all the slave food you want. That's why you don't think like me, motherfucker, because you eat slave food and you sitting up there glorifying about when you pick cotton. There is no way motherfucker's gonna get me to pick cotton. I don't care if he got a gun to my goddamn head. The only way I'm gonna look like I'm gonna pick cotton if the motherfucker got the gun to my head so I can get in position to use 50 years worth of martial arts and take it away and shoot that motherfucker right between the eyeballs.
There you go. That's what.
Now, fuck you and cotton. Goddamn chitlins. Fuck you with some goddamn hog balls, eggs, and all that shit. Hell no, I don't eat that shit.
You sure you don't want some grits, though?
Grits are alright. They just making shit. Ground up hominy. You know how they make hominy? They get corn and put it in a lye.
What?
To make hominy, you take corn, you cut it off the cob, and you soak the kernels in lye. They swell up, and then you rinse them to get the lye the fuck out of them.
Oh my! Oh,
Then you dry them up.
That's fucked up. No, I don't. No, I don't. Oh my God, I didn't.
We use lye. All these motherfuckers snorting coke and shooting it up as freebase or shooting it up as rocked up. Crack. You know how they get it and why they can't eradicate it?
Why?
How many little old ladies like their chocolate eclairs, chocolate ice cream, chocolate cake, chocolate candy, Hershey bars, Hershey with almonds, Nestle's Crunch shit, M&M's, melts in your mouth, not in your hand, you know that shit?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? The plant they get cocaine from is very closely related to the high-quality version of the same plant they get chocolate from. Chocolate comes from the coke berries on the plant. The cocaine comes from the leaves.
Oh. So you get...
usually use crash plants because they got to destroy the plant, take the leaves, and guess what they do with it?
Refine it.
No, they soak it in lye.
Do you know exactly what is lye? What is it made of?
Lye is a base. What base does is it reduces metals and acids and turns them to water.
Oh.
So in other words, you have alkalines and you have acids. Like if you eat some very hot peppers, what you want to do is eat something that's alkaline. In other words, if you stand it, put soap in your mouth, and the soap neutralizes the acid and forms water.
Right.
So what's happened, why soap feels slippery on your skin, is it's a alkaline lye they used to use, and they would mix it with fat and with ash, and that would form a compound that wasn't as reactive as straight up lye was. So when you put lye or something like that on your skin, it feels real soapy. One time I was bluing a gun, and before you put the metal part in the bluing solution, you dip it in boiling lye so that takes all of the organic stuff off of it. So after you kept it in there 5 to 10 minutes, you take some tongs and transfer it over. Well, I was being tongs, stuck my hand in there, and then I immediately stuck it under some cold water. It didn't burn me, but my hand was soft and soapy for hours, and it got all of the calluses and shit off of it.
But
that's soap.
How come that lye burns the hair? You know what I'm saying? You remember the...
It's strong. You can get a strong acid that's not diluted, or you can get a strong base / alkali that's not diluted, and a strong alkali will dissolve shit just as quickly as an acid will.
But it's milder on your skin, obviously.
No, it's not necessarily milder on the skin. It can be just as harsh. It's just one is adding oxygen to the thing, and the other one is taking it away.
Got it. Man, that's, because lie's been a part of obviously black folks' history from the very beginning, from everything from, I guess, punishment. They made people drink it and they couldn't talk. It burns out their tongue.
They burn it up. Same with acid, but a treatment for an acid burn is putting lye on it.
Really?
Yeah, it neutralizes the acid or an alkali.
Would you happen to know what would be a source of acid? I mean, not acid, but lye. Like if I was out in the middle of nowhere.
They have what they call alkalis. Some of the dirt down on the ground, alkaline dirt, tends to be whitish.
Really? So
Yeah,
once again,
you can take limestone and make a form of lye out of it.
wow. And obviously lye is used in industrial stuff even to this day. Like
that's how they used to make soap. You take lye, you take animal fat, and you would take ashes, and you mix all this shit up. And the lye would break down the fat. The ashes would sit there and compound with the lye, so you would have a substance that wasn't as reactive as lye that would burn you, but you could use it to wash the bacteria off of your skin and the dead skin off.
right.
Now, you could, old-time soaps, if you didn't rinse off thoroughly, could burn you. They stayed on you long enough.
Right. It's like I remember that movie Malcolm X, the scene where
When he did the lye mixed in with the potatoes and he fried his hair and the pipe was frozen, he had to stick his head in the toilet.
yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. And it's like, that image.
I've seen it done in the barber shop when I was in junior high school. These dudes wanted their hair combed, so they'd come in there and the barber would tell them to let the hair grow long when it was sticking all over their heads. He would, before he rinsed it, it didn't work too well, I observed. When it was wet, the hair was wet, they wouldn't even wash it. What they do is put a heavy, thick layer of Vaseline down on right around the edge of the hairline, so it didn't get on your person's face.
Right.
And some barbers, if they took the time, would work it in around the roots of the hair. Though most of the time, everybody that was involved, the hair was too damn nappy to do it. So what would happen is they would take a potato and mix it up with the lye, and then we'd have some paste, and they'd have these heavy rubber industrial gloves, and they'd take goops of it and rub it into the person's hair and comb it quickly, and they couldn't leave it in there but 15 seconds. The longer you left it in there, the straighter the person's hair got. So after 15, 20 seconds, it started burning the shit out of most people, and they started hollering, and the guy would dunk their head in the sink and start rinsing this shit out.
Like your head's on fire.
My head hurt, man. My head hurt, man. Oh, man. That's all right, man. That's damn, man. Look at me. I see you goddamn self-hate motherfuckers. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Because think about this, though.
Wait. Before you go there, let me just add one thing. These motherfucking Negroes had a protest at a high school saying that they wanted to wear scarves because they were do-rags, and do-rags were part of the black culture.
Oh, God. Maybe before you go to bed. I mean, I was just about ready to, the whole hair thing, like, if you have really, nappy, kinky hair, it actually hurts to try to put a comb through there, unless you, constantly do it 24 hours a day as soon as you wake up. In other words, I'm saying, maybe this is why so many people with that type of hairstyle are so miserable when they try to, because think about it, just first thing you wake up, try to put a comb through your hair, and it's breaking tooth off the comb, and it's hurting your head. That's going to put you in a miserable start of the day.
Yep.
And, I mean, maybe that's why the whole dreadlock thing and braids thing, which, my dad was military, or ex-military, so we only had one haircut around our house, and it was basically the military, all the way down to the scalp action forever. And that's probably why I have a full head of hair to this day.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, I'm going to shut her down. I appreciate you, Judge. Appreciate you sharing with us, and hope you have a great day.
Okay, you recorded this out.
Thank you for watching the show. As always, live your life of integrity without hate, envy, or greed. And as always, let's try to be kinder to each other. If you can, check me out on Patreon. Peace.